Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Chris-Beth Cowie. I'm the founder of Empowered for X and the host of BizGrams. I'm super excited because today we have Charles James, an awesome entrepreneur doing amazing things with food and sustainability in our community. Charles, good morning to you. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Good morning. I'm doing very good. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome. Charles, I know that you started harlowegrowco. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about your company?
Yeah, for sure. We're a small urban farm. We actually just started out recently during the pandemic, but I've been growing the food for almost 2 years now. It started as a hobby, selling stuff to my family and friends just to get it out there, and they liked it. So we decided, why not turn it into a business? It could help a lot of people. So here we are.
Hey, that is amazing. I'm curious, tell us about when did your entrepreneurship journey start?
Now, I've been into doing my own thing since I was about 16 years old. I wasn't a huge fan of doing things the regular way. I wanted to kind of fund my own path. So I started off in computer science. I was going to school and decided I'd start working right away. And I got really into technology, but then the pandemic hit and artificial intelligence is on the rise. So I just said, you know what? It's time to transition to something more human. And food was the one way to do it. And I felt like that would help people. So we went from building apps for people to building a website to sell food.
Hey,
And I found out I had a green thumb.
I love it. I too have a green thumb. I'll show you my one plant in the space. So you see that one over there? That is easy to care for, but I like to say that I am Brampton's backyard farmer. I love growing my own lettuce, kale, cabbages, green pepper, sweet pepper, all of the joys of just food. And it is so essential, right? Yes, you talk about artificial intelligence and, you're hearing about GMOs and all of these things that could, ultimately change our physiology and affect us in a very negative way. And to go back to food, go back to the thing that gives us life ultimately is so powerful.
Yeah.
I know one of the things that you talk about, you grew up in a small town in Ontario as a racialized person. Do you want to talk to us about that journey and how it has informed and developed your character over time?
Yeah, for sure. I realized that I was different right away. Living there was an interesting time. I made a few good friends that I still have today, and they actually are quite big supporters of what I'm doing here. I named the town after where we're from. They're loving it. But growing up in that area, it made me realize that there's like a lot of focus on community in smaller towns. There's a whole lot of, it's a sense of belonging, and you want to provide for that group of people. There weren't any other Black people or indigenous people in my area besides myself, my mom, and my dad and my sister. So we just kind of stuck to ourselves, and we enjoyed what we could do in our own home. And we grew up a lot different than the majority of kids around us, but it taught me how to be self-sufficient. And I'd say that was probably the biggest thing I learned from growing up in that town. It helped me a lot.
I could tell that you are inspired by that place, because to name your company after, Harlowe, I think it's an amazing story in itself, inspiration from a small town and really that sense of community. I can say, as someone who believes in community and knows the power of community, realizing that I have value that I can contribute. And in community, when it works effectively, that value is maximized tenfold. So it's great to hear, the journey of supporters from that community, even going on to work and champion your business today. I know another thing, you are a young entrepreneur. So how has that journey been in terms of navigating mentorship and resources to help bolster your work as well?
Working in tech, I was going into a lot of rooms with a lot of people that were about 10, 15 years older than me at minimum. So I was doing that, and I realized that networking was kind of a big deal. And I didn't have a lot of networking experience growing up in a small town. So when I came into that atmosphere, it kind of shaped how I viewed business going forward. So community became kind of a novelty almost, and romanticized a lot. So I wanted to take it back to the most basics and actually supplying that community with sustenance, providing for people. That was a big thing for me. So going from that small town and then into business at my young age, I felt like I had a chip on my shoulder for a little while there, just because I'm like, I have to make it because there's so many people doing this already. Why can't I, right? So
yeah, so tell us what makes your business unique and what are some of the things that you're growing right now?
well, I'll start with our varieties. Currently, we sell microgreens that would consist of pea, broccoli, and radish. Those are our three varieties. We're looking to add three more soon. I'm not going to add any spoilers past that. But yeah, those are the varieties we grow. And microgreens, these ones are a bit different from regular vegetables because we take the seeds that you would use, non-GMO, 100% organic, that you would use to grow regular vegetables, full size, but we actually plant them about 20 grams of broccoli, and it scales based on the size of the seed, obviously. But we put those in a 10 by 20 tray and we grow those, and they come in clusters. They are a much smaller package, so they actually have all of the vitamins and nutrients that the regular vegetables would have throughout their growing process, but condensed in a much smaller version. So when you intake that, it boosts your immune system. It provides a whole lot of energy. The pea microgreens actually have a lot more iron than the majority of vegetables, aside from like spinach. So it's one of those superfood. I don't like that word superfood, but it is a superfood. So yeah.
Hey, I love what you just shared because I feel like I'm learning about microgreens and I feel like okay, this summer I have to inject some of that. So
For
I'm
sure.
excited about you were talking to me earlier about some of the systems that you've built to help people even grow their own food.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So the next step in our business model, we offer a subscription currently so people can purchase microgreens or subscribe, but we also would like to branch out and create systems where we can install them in people's home so that way they can grow their own microgreens. And say it was in a floor of a building, you would actually act as the grocer for that entire floor of the building, or the building if you have a big enough setup. We operate in a 55 square foot grow room that I constructed myself. It's a very simple setup. It's about 4 tiers, 3 different racks, all set up with lighting, humidity sensors, all that fun stuff. So that way you can actually keep an eye on your climate that you're growing your greens in, and it's very hard to mess up. So
Hey,
it's a great
that is
system and a great source of food.
hey, that is powerful. And I guess that's tied to what you were talking about, providing healthy, affordable alternatives. So I know you're passionate
Yeah.
about talking about that and growing, sustainable communities. What does that look like in your business model? People say it all the time, but how does it show up in your community?
Sure. So my vision for the company would be to have a Harlowe GrowCo location set up in just about every building in an area that doesn't have um, infrastructure that's centered towards healthy living. A lot of subsidized housing areas, they're surrounded by fast food restaurants and grocery stores that don't offer the best health food options. So if you were to put one of our grow stations into a building, you would actually be able to provide that entire building with a source of income for whoever was running it and whoever was selling it. And it would also boost the health of that community greatly, just because not many people have all of their vitamin intake up to par in Canada. We live in a climate that's just not built for a lot of people. So it helps a lot as far as boosting your immune system, energy levels, just general well-being, really.
Let's
And
say
we'd
I
like to
was
do that.
interested. I think that's so powerful. Let's say I was interested in one of your systems. What does it look like in terms of space required, and how does it work?
Sure. We actually have a 32-pound per 7 to 10 day setup going right now in a 55 square foot room. I built that using some vapor seal, so that way no bacteria can get into the room. There's an air filter purifier, and we currently use just 10 by 20 flats. So we grow everything very, very consistently. That actual setup costs about $400, including everything, and they run on LED lights, so the electricity consumption is next to nothing. And the water, it's very easily recyclable too. So
That's
we'd like
awesome.
to upgrade to hydroponics completely, but we've grown a couple using just water now. So,
Hey,
so
hey, that is awesome. You say hydroponics and I just vibrate. I love the concept of
it's amazing.
hydroponics. It is amazing. And one of the things, just to give you a little how far out I am, a little in terms of one of my dream homes is an earthship, which talks about
Oh,
being able to look at how the water gets recycled in the home.
mhm,
And that really blew my mind. And to know that you have these sustainable systems that one is good for you and saves the planet ultimately. I think it's win-win across the board, right? I love
exactly.
green things. I love green living. And it's something that we promote here at E4X most definitely. So tell us, on your entrepreneurial journey thus far, what has been some of the challenges that you've experienced and some of the things that you've learned along the way or currently learning?
I'm currently learning quite a bit about the whole aspect of business. We wanted to get into grocery stores initially. Now that was one of the bigger hurdles, but we actually just pitched to Loblaws last week. So that was a big step for us. Yeah.